and welcome to Viet Nam Daily Bulletin on VITV channel. It's Monday, July the 28th, and here are top stories of the day. Industrial production rises 6.2% in 7 months. Trade deficit increased 5 votes in the month. Foreign investors poured $13 billion into Vietnam stock market. According to the General Statistics Office, the nation's industrial production from January to July 2014 saw a 6.2% year-on-year increase, a positive sign of recovering production at enterprises.
The Index of Industrial Production, or IIP, in the first 7 months registered the highest growth rate so far this year, compared to 3% in January, 5.4% in the first 2 months of the year, 5.2% in the first quarter, and 5.8% in the first half of the year. The IIP during January-July 2014 is also higher than IIP during the same period last year. The office attributed the high IIP growth rate to the 8.1% surge in the processing and manufacturing sector, which accounted for 70% of total industrial output. Industrial products with the highest growth rate in the period include mobile phones with 77 million units, up 37.8%, raw steel with 2 million tons, up 23.8%, televisions with 1.8 million, up 23.3%, shoes with 150.4 million pairs manufactured, and electric output with 72.3 billion kilowatt-hour, up 11.9%. GSO experts attributed the low consumption to a slow rebound of the world economy, as well as a low demand in the domestic market and a high inventory index.
And now let's move on the bulletin with some foreign trade news.
According to the data from the General Statistics Office, Vietnam's trade deficit in July is estimated at $250 million, up 5 times from the previous month, with $52 million. The main reason is struggling exports, while imports continue to rise. The total export turnover in July is estimated at $12.4 billion, up by 0.2% on month. The import turnover went up 2% to reach $12.65 billion, in which, except rice exports, most of the export items such as fruit and vegetables, cashew nuts, coffee, tea, and pepper posted lower trade value. In the first 7 months of the year, the national trade surplus hit $1.3 billion, mainly thanks to the FDI sector with a trade surplus of $19.6 billion. Domestic businesses posted trade deficit of more than $8.5 billion. Top export items of Vietnam in the period included mobile phones and accessories with $13.1 billion, up by 14% on year, followed by garment and textiles, leather, footwear, and crude oil. Major imports items were machines, electronic spare parts, and petroleum. Agroforestry fishery exports for the first 7 months of the year jumped 11.8% year-on-year to $17.4 billion, and this is according to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. Major agricultural product exports, rice, coffee, rubber, cashew nut, tea, pepper, wood and wood products, hit $8.31 billion during the 7-month period, up 9.5% against last year's same period. Seafood exports surged 24.5% on year to $4.2 billion, along with forestry products, up 13.2% to $3.5 billion.
Just after 3 months of its initial development, Samsung Taiwan has proved to be a success story with export values of more than $2 billion by the end of June 2014. This, EVT said, as many as 6 million mobile phone and table products were shipped abroad by the end of July 2014. The factory was granted investment license and kick-started its construction work in March 2013 with a total investment of $2 billion. The factory was quickly put into operation and generated $90 million from exports in the first 20 days of operations. With the impressive results, SEVT, together with Samsung Bắc-Ninh, have made great contribution to Vietnam export. Data from the General Customs Department showed by the middle of July, Vietnam shipped $12.2 billion of mobile phone and spare parts, rising 14.6% on year, and most of which was from Samsung Vietnam. Vietnam's stock market has attracted $13 billion from foreign investors. At the ceremony celebrating the 14th anniversary of the Ho Chi Minh City Stock Exchange, the Minister of Finance Dinh Tiến Dũng noted the large foreign investment was a positive development, reflecting the increasing growth in the stock market. Beginning operations in late July 2000, the exchange had only 2 listed companies and no participation from foreign investors. Currently, 700 companies are listed at host and the exchange in Hanoi. Also, almost 150 companies have registered to trade on Upcom. The market capitalization of all listed shares is $52 billion, around 32% of the GDP, and bonds are 17%. The share trading value in the first 6 months went up 58% compared to the same period last year. In other news, 12 state-run enterprises have submitted applications to sell their stakes in businesses operating in sectors outside of their normal activities or operations to the State Capital Investment Corporation or SCIC. They include big names such as Vietnam Electricity, Petro Vietnam, VNPT, and Vinalines. The SCIC said is studying the chance of buying some of these investments. The corporation has recently worked with representatives from VNPT, Vinalines, and the state-owned Saigon Trading Group, but the evaluation and assessment process takes time because it needs to be carefully done. Upon having the final conclusion, the SCIC will work directly with the banks and insurance companies involved. The SCIC posted 3.35 trillion dong, or $155.68 million revenues in the first 6 months of this year, a 37% increase year-on-year. In the first 6 months of 2014, total footwear export turnover of Vietnam was estimated at $4.8 billion, an increase of 20.4% over the same period last year. A representative of the Vietnam Leather and Footwear Association said, in 2014, footwear and bag exports will likely exceed the $12 billion target. However, the footwear industry is still facing so many difficulties, including the dependence on imports of raw materials, especially leather raw materials.
For years, Vietnam's exported footwear industry has developed into 2 main directions, which are outsourcing for foreign countries or processed footwear export, and manufacturing with most of raw materials imported. Specifically, according to the statistics from the Vietnam Customs, the proportions of these 2 types accounted for over 97% of the total footwear export in 2012, of which outsourcing accounted for 52.7%, while manufacturing for export took 44.6%. Economists said that the dependence of raw material import is one of the major weaknesses for Vietnam's footwear industry currently.
Giày của chúng ta thì phụ thuộc rất nhiều vào cái việc nhập cái nguyên liệu đầu vào, đặc biệt là da giày và các linh phụ kiện khác. Chúng ta biết rằng là trong cái tổng kim ngạch nhập khẩu từ Trung Quốc thì cái linh phụ kiện của ngành dệt giày, dệt may và da giày đã chiếm tới 15%.
Mình không thể nào đụng với Trung Quốc được, thì giá rất rẻ, mình làm không nổi. Do người ta có nguồn nguyên liệu sản xuất trong nước, người ta chủ động. Còn đây mình toàn bộ hầu như là mình muốn làm thì mình hơi nhập qua ta hết. Thành ra mình làm sao mà đụng được. Người ở đây có sẵn, người đi mua kia làm sao làm được.
A representative of the Vietnam Leather and Footwear Association, or LEFASO, said, in 2014, the entire industry exported products worth of $10.4 billion, while raw materials imported from abroad were worth $4.2 billion. If compared with the textile industry, the import of raw materials for production in the footwear industry is less dependent. But considering each type of material, it is really a problem that needs to be solved. In fact, for all kinds of leather materials, annually, Vietnam has to spend from $1.5 to $1.8 billion to import mainly from South Korea, Taiwan, Italy, and China. In particular, most of low and medium-end leatherette materials for footwear production have to be imported from China.
Chúng ta nhìn trên toàn cục thì cái tỷ lệ nhập gia từ Trung Quốc không gây tác động lớn đến cái sản xuất kinh doanh của chúng ta. Nhưng mà nếu mà xét trên toàn cục thì hiện nay chúng ta vẫn phải nhập khẩu gần 70% cái da từ nước ngoài.
Nguồn cung cấp da đó là phải có một cái khả năng về vấn đề kỹ thuật cũng như là cái nguồn cung cấp từ nguyên liệu da sống cho tới tức là việc chế biến, và cái chế biến thuộc da là thuộc loại chế biến rất là ô nhiễm và ảnh hưởng rất là nhiều môi trường, và muốn đầu tư vào ngành này là hết sức nan giải.
According to experts in the industry, only when auxiliary industries develop will Vietnam's footwear industry develop as well. So in the coming time, the footwear sector will focus on changing supply chains to be more active in the supply of materials locally. In particular, production of leather material will be paid much attention to.
Thì về phía Hiệp hội Da giày Việt Nam thì cũng đã có những cái nỗ lực để tìm những cái khu công nghiệp ở đầu cầu phía Bắc và phía Nam để có thể tập trung cái sản xuất thuộc da. Nhưng phải nói là trong những năm vừa qua là chúng ta cũng gặp khó khăn là vì do cái chính sách môi trường cũng như là cái luật môi trường chúng ta có hiệu lực thì làm cho khiến cho các tỉnh cũng cảm thấy dè dặt trong cái việc này. Thì vừa rồi thì phía Bộ Công Thương thì cũng đã có những cái tác động, và chúng tôi tin chắc rằng trong thời gian gần đây sắp tới đây thì chúng ta sẽ có cái quy hoạch một cái khu sản xuất da ở phía Bắc và khu sản xuất da phía Nam.
As for the synthetic materials for PU and PPC, Vietnam Leather and Footwear Association will also work with some big brands to move back to the country. Furthermore, the association also submits to the Ministry of Industry and Trade a proposal to collaborate with the textile and garment industry to build industrial zones producing synthetic leather. Because in terms of the production, the natures of synthetic leather and fabrics resemble, and the synthetic leather materials are also needed in the textile production.
And now it's time to look at local gold prices, forex and stock markets. Well, that's the news on VITV. Thank you so much for your time with us. You can also follow us on our website at www.vitv.vn. Goodbye and see you later.